Hi,
So
sorry. I can mute myself.
on your phone.
Yeah. Go
So
ahead.
are you asking how to chat on your phone or just?
No, I was just asking how to change that view on my phone that you were just talking from, like the speaker and the gallery view.
Since it's a very small screen, Zoom on the phone does not have as many features when it comes to a bunch of different parts to it. But what you can do is if you swipe right to left, it goes to you having 4 people on your screen versus not. And then the more you swipe the opposite direction, you can have speaker view. So that's how they change it up on the smaller screen.
Okay, all right, that's all I was, thank you.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And so, I mean, just like Christine did, if you guys ever have any questions, make sure you just send them in so we can respond to them, because that's what we're here for. But yeah, so I'm going to share my screen, and like Amira said, I'm the Marketing and Programs Manager at West Metro Chamber. So I'm just here to help you guys out in any way you can market your business. And the best way is to get back in person as best as we can. And right now that's virtually. So we're going to teach you how to host with confidence and how to set up a meeting so you can talk to your clients and talk to prospects without having to worry. So you'll see a shared screen. So this is your Zoom profile. So when you make an account, and the West Metro Chamber has a paid account to host meetings a certain length, and once you buy the premium package, it not only gives you length, but it also gives you more more participants can join the call, and a bunch of other smaller features. Obviously, some of you that are tuning in today, you don't have to have a paid account to tune into a call. You just need it to host a meeting for more than, I think it's 30 minutes is what the cutoff for the basic package is, and that's the freemium that Zoom offers. But so when you go to your profile, this is what you're going to see. This is profile picture and your name. And so I'm going to walk you step by step on how to set up a meeting. So what you'll see on this left side is meetings. This toolbar over here is going to have a lot of your settings in it. And there's also schedule a meeting over here. So we're going to click meetings. And so what you do is you're going to schedule a new meeting. As you can see, the West Metro Chamber has a lot already scheduled out. I usually like to do it in advance, so then you can send out the links in advance to the participants. And then you're going to click schedule a new meeting. Here's where you're going to put in all the different forms and fashion of the meeting. So you have the topic, the description. So the next option is use a template. So what you can do is use a template is basically if you have something that reoccurs on a often enough basis, but not on a recurring basis, like a weekly or a monthly. If you have something that you're just like, I hate having to click all of these buttons, because you'll see there's a lot of toggles on and off. So if you just get sick of that at some point, you can make it a template and choose one of these. You see we have staff meeting because those end up being randomized and different leads groups. I'm not going to click any of those, so we start with the fresh one. Obviously, you have the time and date of your meeting. So what you do here is you click the little red calendar and choose when the meeting is. You can change the time. It does it in 30-minute increments. Even though you set the time for 12 p.m., let's say, and you want to start the call at 11:45 and tune in earlier, you are welcome to do that. The Zoom link is still live before. It does not mean that it's not going to go live until 12:30. It's just more of like when you send out this invite, people see that it starts at 12, not whatever time you want to tune in. So that's just for a reminder. Same with the duration. You can say however long the meeting is going to be, whether it be 1 hour or this one goes in 15-minute increments. Even if I say it's only an hour and 15 minutes long, if I want to go longer, it's not going to shut me down because I do have that paid feature. If you have the basic one, like I said, I think it's 30 minutes max. I don't even think you get these options. Time zone, and then recurring meetings. So like I said, if it's on a rotating basis, whether it be your staff meeting or a check-in with one of your clients and it's recurring, you can click this little checkbox and you can set how often the occurrence happens. So a nice plus to this is when it's a recurring meeting and you set it up in this setting, it's only one link that the person has to receive. They don't have to keep changing up the link. So that's a super nice feature. You can change it to daily, weekly, monthly, no fixed time, which just makes it even more fun to deal with. But I'm going to go back to daily. And then you repeat however many days, and then the end date, or after how many occurrences you have. So this is a nice feature that Zoom has. The West Metro Chamber and Jeffco BRC both already have a CRM of sorts called Chamber Master that we use. But if your company doesn't have a way to collect registrations or to collect email addresses of people who want to tune into your calls, whether you're teaching a webinar or whatever you're doing, if you click this, that means attendees have to give you their email and their name. And so then you have that for your CRM database. So then it's a little bit easier to control. And I'm seeing one question pop up. Does the time need to be the same each reoccurring meeting? Yes, it does. So it is a reoccurring at 12 in this situation. I'm going to go ahead and put in a topic for this. So we're going to call this test 1 so that we can come back and see it later. So my reoccurring is daily every day for the next 7 days. So yeah, it's going to be at 12 o'clock consistently. That's what the reoccurring link does for you. Good question. So this registration is super nice for that factor that you can collect all of those contact details. So you have different 3 options here. You have attendees register once and it can attend any of the occurrences. This is just because I have it set up as a reoccurring meeting. Attendees need to register for each occurrence. Attendees register once and can choose 1 or more occurrences. So if you're teaching a daily workshop, let's say, and you want to see who's tuning in every single day, then you would choose that they need to choose each occurrence, whichever one they plan on attending. Moving down, we have meeting passwords. So as we've all heard at the very beginning of the Corona and the pandemic, everyone was using Zoom, and a lot of Zoom calls were getting hacked. So Zoom has bumped up their security features that they now automatically have meeting password clicked for you. I see another question. Do you have to set up registration if you already have all the email addresses you need? No. So that's a good question. I never have this toggle on personally because we have Chamber Master. If you don't do that, then there's no system that's going to be holding however many people you have registered. So you don't technically know unless you have your own event registration webpage to visit, if that makes sense. So what it is you're going to have to know who's planning on tuning in, click those email addresses separately, and then be able to email them the Zoom link and password. Because that's the whole thing, is that they have to get the link now. Because like I was saying, back to the security, is people were posting their links just live on a Facebook forum. They were just putting it on web pages that was just on the internet, and people were hacking into it because if there's no password on it and if there's no registration to it, then anyone could tune into the call. And I'm going to be talking about waiting rooms as well in just a second, and that's another security feature that they have. So meeting password, require meeting password or not, I always do. And not just for security reasons, but Zoom has made it super easy that you can actually send out the link that already has this embedded in the slug. And by embedded, I mean when they click the link, it automatically types in the password for them. They don't have to go in and type 053317. It's already in the link. It takes them straight to the call. You have to have that toggled on in your settings, but it's, I think, already toggled on for anyone that's setting up a meeting. You can change this to whatever you want it to say. I'm going to make this test, super convenient password. If I want to put my picture in, how do I do that? So Debbie, we're going to get to that question a little bit later. Amira is going to address that part. Next, so both of these have to do with how you want people to tune into the call. Has nothing to do with what you're allowing them to do, because at any point in this situation, a participant can turn their video on or off. So what I have it on I usually have it on is host video is going to be on because that's me or Amira. And so when I just check into this meeting, it's already going to be my face. I usually have the host on because most likely the host is going to be the first person to tune into the meeting. And participant, I sometimes change it up based on how big the group is going to be, but you never want someone holding their phone under their face, you know, tuning into the call and you just see straight up their nostrils. That's never a fun sight to see right off the bat. So you can have that off at first and then give them the option to turn it on once they're set up and ready to go. So that's a good thing to have. There is a setting that you can just go ahead and limit. What am I trying to say? You can limit if you want them to even have the option to put on their video. I've heard of people, I haven't been on one of these, but I've heard of Zoom calls that have over 1,000 people on it, and they just said no video for anyone, no audio from anyone. Those settings are going to be in the Zoom settings overall. I'm going to scroll a little bit back up. Those are in these settings over here on this left side. This is just for this one meeting. If you want to change those, that will be over there. All right. So same with the audio. We have audio, telephone, computer audio, or both. So if you want to let your participants join in via phone call, which means that it's not the app that we're using, but if they're using the telephone number that Zoom sends out has no video option, then you want to click telephone if that's the only option you're giving people, or if you want to do just computer people so no one can call in, and then you have both. I have only clicked both ever in my life because you never know what someone's preference is, or if they're in their office or in the car. If they're in the car, they're not going to want to pull up their app on their phone and have to deal with all of that. They just call the phone number. And that, similar to how the password test would be embedded into there's an option to have the password already embedded in the phone number that they call. So then once they call this phone number, they're just in. It has nothing to do with them having to press more keys, pound sign, star sign, and all of that. They're already in with this embedded password into the phone number. It's different than test, obviously, because it's a numerical password, but they come up with that on their own because security. Scrolling down, you have a few more checkboxes to finish off your setting up your meeting. You have enable join before host. So that means, let's say Amira is hosting a meeting of 50 people and she's running late because her dog escaped and she has that toggled on. You're going to want it not turned on, obviously, because if she has to go and grab the dog and then she comes back and there's 30 people already up on her screen. So up to you to choose that, but that just means that the participants can join before the host. Mute participants upon entry. I believe Amira had this toggled on for you guys. As you saw, when you turned on your webcam and tuned into this call, it just automatically muted you. I usually have this turned on just for the reason of, similar to up the nostrils, you never know if someone's pouring themselves a cup of tea or flushing a toilet. Those are just background noises that we don't personally want to hear as an audience. So usually just mute participants upon entry. Enable waiting room. So this is another great security feature that Zoom has added. And what a waiting room is the host is going to open up the meeting, and you guys might have seen this if you got here a little bit earlier than the start time. It kind of just had a waiting for the host to let you in message, and then Amira has to manually just let each person in. This is a great security feature, especially if you're posting this to a public forum, which we highly advise that you don't do. But let's say you don't recognize a name. If you're having a staff meeting and there's some name popping up in the waiting room that's not on your staff, it's a great little security feature to have, that they're not just tuning in and hacking your call. I will say one of the downfalls that we've seen with the enable waiting room, or not downfalls, but something you have to take notice to, is it is a manual entry. So Amira does have to go in and click yes, accept to all the different people. So if you have a big group coming in, you're just going to have to make sure you can handle all the manual entries for the waiting room. Only authenticated users can join. I believe this means, I've heard two different things. I never have it on just because I never want to limit who's joining into my calls, but authenticated is kind of like you have to have a Zoom profile of sorts. It doesn't have to be a paid one, but you do have to have a login and password for zoom.com or whatever their URL is, zoom.us maybe. You do have to have a profile to tune in. This is just another security feature. I never have it turned on because I don't want to have to add yet another step to people tuning into Zoom. I just want it to be pretty seamless. Breakout room pre-assign. So this is a checkbox option for me because in the settings that I mentioned earlier on this left side tab, I have toggled on that I want some of my meetings to have the option of breakout rooms. Even if you have a toggle on, doesn't mean that you necessarily have to use it for every meeting. I'm going to show you real quick what it looks like. So first, breakout room is exactly how it sounds. It is taking a group of people, let's call this the general meeting of our however many participants we have, 20 people, let's say. And then you want to break out into rooms because the conversation just gets overloaded, especially if you're trying to, come up with ideas and you want to just separate and then bring it back together. So all you have to do is once you have this, or you don't even have to have this toggled on. Once you're in the meeting, as the host, you won't see this as a participant, so you won't see it right now. You'll have a toolbar at the bottom of your Zoom profile, and that toolbar will have the option that says breakout rooms. Then when that box pulls up, you can see that you have 20 participants, and you can select how many rooms you want to split those people up into. You can pre-assign it here, like this is saying, or you can randomize using when I'm talking about just the toolbar, and then you can say, I want to do 4 rooms, which means 5 people per room. You click yes. There's a few settings there that are, do you want them to be able to chat with each other? Do you want them to be muted upon entry? There's some small things there, but let's say you have a subcommittees in your staff meeting or in your board meeting and you want them to break out into their groups. So you can go ahead and pre-assign, create the room, say like, I want, I want Annie to be in room 1, I want Daryl to be in room 2, because they're the chairs of those subcommittees. So up to you if you want to break out into rooms, but it's a super fun feature. We actually just had a meeting this morning with 21 people, including myself, so 20. And I split into 4 rooms, like I've been using as a real life example. And what I did was a super cool feature of this breakout room. So once everyone's split, everyone from the general meeting, which is the big picture meeting, everyone from that, their little image popped away. But then I could look to see who was in each room. And let's say that they want to float around and network in different groups. As a host, I was able to click, oh, I want to move Annie to group 2, who was already in group 1. You can go ahead and manually do that while they are in the breakout rooms themselves. So it's a nice little feature to use if you want to break out into smaller groups out of the big group. And then record the meeting automatically. I think Amira said this in the chat a little bit earlier that we are recording this meeting. You can set it up that it records it automatically for you from the get-go, or you can start recording at any point during the call. As a host, you can do it from the beginning. Yes.
Oh, I just wanted to add one thing on that. If you set it up from the time you start the meeting, as Madison was talking about, a lot of times the hosts and the speakers will jump on before the audience jumps on, just to sort of get their ducks in a row. That's all going to be recorded, because the moment you start that meeting, it starts recording. So just keep that in mind too. Then the one other thing I want to say is backing up, there is a function, an option to let everybody in the room at the same time.
There is. That's good.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. So you can do that as well. But that's it.
That's good to know. Yeah, instead of having to manually click in 1,000 people. So that's
right, because I learned it the hard way. There's a while
you
before
were manually doing it.
Yeah, I was manually doing it. And then I just had one question. So you were pointing out the features of that when I set up the meeting, that I can turn everybody's video on and then mute them, right? But that doesn't stop them from unmuting themselves at any time during the meeting. But the other function off to the left in that, so if I chose that over there in the more advanced functions, then do they still have the option? Can they turn on their own video? I mean, on their own video?
No, they can't. So I'll just go ahead and go to these settings. So all I've done is gone over here And I think it's in meeting advanced. Let's see here. So here, right here is where the breakout room is if anyone's interested in ever using that. So I just have it toggled on. And then I think it's down here. There's a lot of settings to be done here. Oh, must not be.
And then the other one, if I prevent everybody from, so if I basically silence the audience, then do I as a host have an option to unmute them during the talk? Or is, if I choose that option, that's it, we don't get to hear from them.
So if I remember correctly, I think it's if you set it up as a webinar instead of just a regular meeting.
Mm-hmm. Then
so if you were to do,
yeah,
you can still
So
set it up
just
that you have control as the presenter to mute anybody if you want to. So if there's somebody that's running their mouth, you do have the ability to shut them down as the host.
oh,
right,
oh, for sure.
right.
I know we've talked about that once we have in-person meetings ever again, if someone is rambling on and on, like you're just going to be like, I wish you just had the mute button that I could just, toggle real quick. But yeah, so I think the webinar is the one that they're just going to be muted all together. Like that's just one person talking.
Yeah.
But I think it is just a
Okay.
thing that you can do.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, and so we don't have, oh, I didn't save my test one. This is a weird thing that Zoom doesn't let you do. I'm sharing my screen obviously right now with my Google Chrome tab pulled up for my Zoom profile, but I can't show you my Zoom screen if that makes sense. But as a host, you'll see on the right side of the screen, I think like Tom was mentioning, at any point you can literally click, there's a little mute button as if you're a participant, and you can mute and unmute a person if they are rambling or if they're trying to introduce themselves and they're still muted, you can ask them to unmute themselves. And then last but not least, for the settings to set up a meeting, you have alternative hosts. So you can type in an email address here and let them have some of the capabilities. Another thing you can do is in the middle of a Zoom call, if I wanted to switch over and give someone else the reins, I can go ahead and go into the screen, hover my mouse over someone's picture, and the three little dots, I can say make a co-host or pass on the host responsibility to. So then they have the option of muting and unmuting people and engaging with the waiting room. So I think Amira dealt with this in a meeting before, that she had a waiting room open and then she wanted to pass on the host responsibilities to someone for them to share the screen. And when she did that, the people in the waiting room weren't being let in because the other person didn't realize that that was their responsibility now. I'm seeing a question from Lynn Tandler. Is there one browser that is preferable for Zoom meetings? I haven't heard any of the browsers being incompetent with it. I would say if you can, I would go for either, if you have a Mac, Safari is fine. If you have Google Chrome, I would prefer that over Internet Explorer, but those are personal preferences, I think, more than anything. If you can, and most likely what we're all doing if we haven't already, is download the app to your computer, and the app is running as itself. It's not running through a browser. So you can download it onto your Mac, onto your phone, or onto your PC. Oh yeah, see, Tom uses Mozilla. So I mean, this Zoom profile is the only thing that you're using your browser for. When you're tuning into a meeting, you may be putting your link into this, but it's going to ask you, do you want to pull up the Zoom app so then you can see everyone's faces? And so that's another app that's not the browser itself. So I think it should be good. I would recommend having just a great internet connection. I've had issues that my internet was down because I live up in Conifer and we had all those snow days, and what was that, April? And our internet just went down for a few hours. And so I would recommend having good internet, or else you're gonna see a lot of things happening. Alrighty. So I wanted to talk about a few more things in this setting. So there is an option to set a poll up. So this is gonna be over here in the settings, and I have it already toggled on. And what it is under the in-meeting basic, and you'll see the word polling. And then as you see, I have it blue turned on, add polls to the meeting controls. This allows the host to survey the attendees. So we had a few questions about this last time. Amir and I hosted a Zoom 101. So to set up a poll option in the settings, you can make a poll in the event description. So this means the polling feature for meeting allows you to create single choice or multiple choices only kind of polls throughout your meetings. You'll be able to launch this poll at any point and gather responses from the attendees. You also have the ability to download a report of polling after the meetings, and polls can be conducted anonymously, or if you do not wish to collect the participant information with the link, it can be anonymous, or you can also show the attendees the poll results itself. So if you ever want to have that turned on, you just have that toggle on, and then when you set up the meeting, so I'm going to use, which one am I going to use as an example? So we have South Jeffco coming. And as I was just talking about internet connection, mine just says mine is unstable. What you'll see is once you click this meeting, you'll scroll all the way to the bottom. So I'm actually going to use this one as an example in case anyone wants to tune in. You'll see all this information already set up, South Jeffco Business Alliance, and a meeting ID here. This is the meeting password for it, the invite link. And then I have to scroll a bit up because I can't see it because of this Zoom thing. So you'll click this copy invitation if you ever want to send this link out. And you can copy the entire meeting invitation by doing that. Or you can send out specific parts if you just want them to send a link. So you'll see here that this already has the link already typed out. Not only does it have the entire link typed out, if you send this out to them, it, like I said, with the embedded in the slug, this one already has the password typed for them. If they're calling on a phone number, if they click this one tap mobile, this one already has the password typed in for them as well. So when they click these two things on their phone, if they click this, it's going to dial on a phone call and they're already going to be in the meeting. If they click this on their email or however you send it out, that's going to go straight to it. And then if you want to set up a poll, sorry, I got a little distracted there. To set up any of the poll questions, you're going to go scroll to the bottom and it says you have not created any polls yet. So if you want to make a poll, all you do is here, what's your favorite color? And at any point, I'm going to get anonymous because that's a very serious question. At any point, you can send this out to the meeting. We don't have one set up for this because you guys can give us answers later on, but you can do single choice or multiple choice, and you just type in the different responses here. You can put multiple questions, and you can launch them at any point. And like I talked about earlier, you can decide whether or not you want the people to be anonymous, and also you can even show them the results. So if you're just kind of getting like a grand opinion about something, then you would send out this poll and it says, do you want to share results with the participants? And you would say yes, and it shows them a bar graph. Does the free version have the Google Calendar option? I don't personally use the free one. I don't know. I don't know if Amira knows that either because I know she uses the paid feature.
But does anybody on the call know the answer to that uses the free version? Okay.
I would think it does, because I mean, it's a pretty simple enough thing. It's just some code for the computer that if you want to click one of these, it goes ahead and adds to your Google Calendar, adds to your Outlook calendar or your Yahoo. And I also don't use a digital calendar. I may be a millennial, but I have a paper calendar. And so, yeah, those are the settings I want to walk through about setting up your meeting. And, oh, I do have one other thing. I'm going to share a different screen real quick. So I wanted to show you, I did take a little screenshot of what it looks like when you set up a breakout room. So these are your different settings. I know the image is pretty small. I'm on a Microsoft document. So these are the different settings. I think I can do this. Okay, here we go. So when I click in my toolbar, make breakout rooms, this little bar pops up, and these are your options. Move all participants into breakout rooms automatically. So they have the choice that if you don't have this clicked and I set up or I send out that I want you to go to room 1 and I want the other one person to go to room B. Those are great names. That if I don't have this toggled on, they're going to get a message that pops up on the screen that's like, the host wants to send you to this room. Do you accept? And they have to click yes to be sent off to that room. If I have it toggled on, then they're sent automatically to this room. No ifs, ands, or buts. They're out of there, into their breakout rooms. And then the next toggle is allow participants to return to the main session at any time. I usually have this turned off because sometimes I'm sitting there waiting for other people to come back. When I hosted a meeting this morning and we went into breakout rooms, I left myself in the main room and then I kicked myself around to the different groups so I could tune into each conversation. But they couldn't come back to the main room with me. And then breakout rooms close automatically after, and you can set a certain amount of times. And then there's a little timer going on for this. This is once again a paid feature. So then if it's after 30 minutes, you'll get a little orange timer going on to let you know if it's almost time. And then countdown after closing breakout room. So as a host, at any point, I can just be like, all right, we're calling everyone back. I click close breakout rooms, and it sets a timer for 60 seconds. After those 60 seconds, everyone's just going to be booted back to the general meeting. I usually give them 60 seconds because I don't want to cut anyone off mid-sentence. And their group discussions, but that's the settings for that. And as you can see in the breakout room options, there's still the add a room. And then you can't see it over here, but that's also where you would assign if you wanted to go and manually assign each person to a room. You could do it during the call as well. All right, I'm going to go and close out my share and go check out the chat room to see if there's any other questions about what I just talked about. Do you put your guest email into the Zoom meeting here, or do you send them the link? Great question. So you're going to copy that invitation that we just saw and send it out. If you want to do that registration, the registration means that they're going to type in, Madison McDonald wants to attend this meeting, here's my email, and then what I get is a confirmation and the link automatically gets sent to me if they're doing the registration that's through Zoom. Like I said, I don't often use that one because I already have my own software that I use, but it's a great way to kind of make that a seamless process for yourself if you don't have that software on your own. Anyone have any experience with virtual backgrounds? Okay, so Lynn, we're actually going to talk about that in just a second with Amira. She's going to do a little bit more about that. Amira, did I leave anything out?
I don't think so. I think that was really thorough.
Alrighty.
Do you guys have questions before we switch off? We're going to move into etiquette in just a minute. And also,
I will say, I mean, everyone's always going to have questions. Things are always changing. I found out a lot of my questions from the Zoom 101 forum that Zoom offers. And it's a free thing that I literally Googled some questions like, explain breakout rooms to me. And a link popped up and it was already Zoom answering that call for me. So a lot of this information is online, but I'm glad to be here to answer any questions that are a little bit more thorough than that.
So there is one question. Cheryl said, are you going to go through the settings? So Cheryl, what settings are you referring to? Because she did go through several of them.
On the left-hand side, because we just did the part about setting up the meeting, but on the left-hand side there is the settings, and we didn't walk through those different areas.
Yeah, it's a pretty in-depth thing. I mean, I can show you a few of what I call them highlights, just to kind of talk about a few. I mean, to have some of these options in setting up a meeting, you do have to have these toggled on. So if at any point you're creating a meeting and you don't see the option of pre-assigned breakout rooms, it's because in your advanced settings and your personal profile, it means that this isn't toggled on. So a lot of these are a little bit more repeat, but host video, do you want their video on or off when they start? Same with the audio. So you'll see these first few are the same with those little check boxes that start a meeting. Enable personal meeting ID. What that means is if I just want to set up an impromptu meeting. So your personal meeting ID or personal meeting room is a virtual meeting room permanently reserved for you that you can access with that ID. You can start instant meetings with this ID, or you can schedule a meeting using that. So that's more if you need a very impromptu and you don't need to set up all the things. I would just send out my personal meeting ID. People type that into their access code option, and then they could tune in. Use personal meeting ID when scheduling a meeting. I don't use that. Require a password. Only authenticated users. Require a password. Okay, so I talked about this a little bit. So if you do want to have your link automatically type the password in for them, just to make it a bit more seamless of a process, you want to have this toggled on. Meeting password will be encrypted and included in the invite link to allow participants to join. Alrighty. Oops. And then same with requiring a password for people joining by phone. Mute participants upon entry. Upcoming meeting reminder. Those are more about the computer itself. And I will say, what was I going to say? I will say that, yeah.
No, can you turn off the chat feature?
Yes, you can. Or you can turn off private chat. I don't think you can, or it looks like you can.
Try that. Click that and see. Well, yeah, try it.
I'm not hosting this meeting,
Okay.
but
yeah, and I can't.
Okay. Oh, turn off. The following settings depend on this setting. So I
turn off the private chat. So you can turn off private chat.
So what I've done is turned off chat. So it looks like there's not going to be a chat room. Yeah, and that's something that I've actually seen a lot of people doing most recently. I like to have it on because if I'm having a big, what I call networking meeting, that has kind of changed it a little bit. I like to have one-on-ones on because I'm not going to stop, participants from connecting with one another offline or off the main screen. So I usually have these on. But it looks like you can turn off the chat room. I haven't used that before. I'm going to turn it back on because it makes me a little nervous because I don't know what I've done. And then auto saving and mentioning saving. If you're recording a meeting, this is the settings that you'll choose. If you record and you click record in the cloud, this is the Zoom cloud. So if you've ever recorded a meeting, it will be over here in this left tab under recordings, and it will show me all the different ones that I've recorded. So I recorded a Zoom after hours and a member meeting and whatnot. So those are all saved over here. You can choose to save it onto your hard drive itself as well. If this gets full, I actually got an email from Zoom that I don't have a paid enough profile to have too much in the cloud storage. How do you take a recording and put on YouTube? Good question. So
I can talk about that.
Okay, I'll leave that one up to you. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so once you are recording the video, when the meeting's over and you leave the meeting, a new screen's going to pop up and it says it's converting now. And just to back up on that, when you record the meeting, you have an option. You either record it onto the computer, so on the computer's hard drive, or you record it to the cloud. So just know that you're going to have to choose that option. I made the mistake once that I didn't choose that option, thinking it was recording, and realized halfway through it wasn't recording because I didn't do that second step. So super important. But then, so once it happens, you close out the meeting, this new pop-up will happen. It takes roughly 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 15, depending on how long your video is, for it to convert. Then it'll save it automatically in your downloads file. Then you need to upload that into either YouTube or Dropbox or whatever platform you're doing it to be able to share it, because it uploads it into, I think it's an MP6 file, right, Madison?
Let's see here. We can just go ahead and look as if I was recording or downloading this one. So this one, we did have people sharing their screen. If I download the files, it might take up a lot of my things. So I think whatever the video was, I'm not that technologically advanced, but I think,
yeah,
I don't know. I know it records like the video itself, the entire Zoom profile.
And it's pretty easy. And it's just depending on, too, some of them, if you're sharing a screen, it'll just show this, it'll just video the screen. But if you're not sharing the screen and we're talking kind of like we're doing today, it's going to show all the participants as well. So then all the questions are there. You can also record and get copies of the transcripts of the chat feature, not the private chats, but the group chats as well. You have that option. So, all right. Any other questions?
Yeah, and don't be afraid to, I mean, if you have a paid profile and you want to look into it, like I said, there is an endless amount of settings you can turn on and off. I mean, there is the way to make sure that everyone has the option to do virtual background or not. There's just so many different ones you can turn on and off. So just go ahead and check it out. And then if you ever have any questions, I'll send my email in this chat room a little bit later, and you guys can send me more personal questions, because I always like to learn more things too.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Can I just ask on the recording? So you said you can record it either to the cloud, or what was the other option?
It's called a local recording, but that will be on your computer itself, not into the Zoom profile. So Zoom automatically has its own file in your, I think I'm using the word hard drive, right? Maybe. It already has its own folder made for it, and then it'll have a recording subfolder underneath it, and that's where your recordings will automatically save.
That's what I was going to say. So, I mean, if you just want to, yeah, because I mean, when you were pulling it up, I was like, oh, it's like in a folder. Is it on the Zoom program, or you're saying it's on a separate, like the C drive or something like that on your computer? Automatically saves it?
Yeah, so it's on my C drive. That's where I selected for my local recordings. Just
okay.
So it's under my C drive, under Documents, under Zoom, that whole breakdown.
But if you do it in the cloud, then it just stores under your Zoom profile.
Okay, so I was going to say the cloud. I always get confused about the mysterious clouds. Zoom has its own like cloud. You have your own cloud on Zoom, or I didn't.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with your iPhone cloud or Apple iCloud or whatnot. So.
Your own cloud. Okay.
I got confused about that too. I thought it was going to upload it into my like 365 cloud, and I didn't want that.
Yeah, like your personal cloud. I was like, wait, that's confused. I'm confused.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
I'd like to ask a question to Madison and Amira. One of the things that I've been toying around with is buying a Zoom subscription and make it available to our 55 members. Now, is that just opening up a can of worms?
Well,
by saying, hey, members, we have this as a member benefit.
You can't do it, Doug.
Pardon?
It's not possible.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't do it because you can't. So it has to come from the same, like, so my Zoom membership is under awaters@jeffcobrc.com. It's registered with that email. So if Madison worked for Jeffco, or if let's say I started with Lou, so Lou at jeffcobrc.com, I could add her. But if it's Madison at West Metro Chamber, it won't work. So they try, I mean, because they're going to prevent people from doing that very thing. Like me as a business owner, I could get a Zoom account, split it with 5 of my friends. We all have different email addresses. That's where it won't work. So if you're in the same organization, it would. So everybody, all your members would have to have it at South Lakewood Business Association.
Okay. Okay.
And honestly, because the platform is free, and on the free version, I think just to recap what Madison was saying, you can have 3 people and talk
you
for
get
30 minutes?
3 people in 40 minutes.
Right. But then the one level up is $14, I think it's $14.99 a month. It's relatively inexpensive.
Yeah. So this is what the thinking was, is make this available to our membership.
No, it's a good thought. But I think they're trying to prevent, I don't know if you can purchase a higher, module and do it. I don't think so though, because I think that they're going to try to protect themselves from a bunch of, businesses pulling together and doing it together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm looking at the plans and pricing part of their website. It looks like it does get just astronomically priced when it comes to trying to just give everyone a login. It'd almost be just more beneficial just to have everyone do it on their own, and it becomes
more
cheaper
affordable
that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea, though. That would have been a really nice feature for SLBA members, for sure.
Yeah,
I don't think it's an option.
thank you.
Other questions? We have one thing in the chat. Let me look. How do you take a recording and put it on YouTube? Okay, yes, you can call me later to help. That's easy. So when you have a YouTube channel, though, it's super simple. I'll just cover it real quick. Once you have a YouTube channel, you've applied for that, or registered your organization or business for a YouTube channel. Then when you go into YouTube, it's super simple. You just upload it. You upload it right off of your hard drive. And then YouTube converts it. So there's a lot of converting time here. I mean, it takes probably half an hour to do this. But then once it's there, then you share the YouTube link on social media, or like I always share it with my presenters so they can promote it, and share it with their clients. And yeah, it's good. So
yeah, not only can you put it on YouTube, but you can also put it on Facebook or anywhere that accepts videos. So you can just go ahead. It's just a video file, like Amir is saying, that you can just drag and drop and it's uploaded. It's a simple matter, and it just depends on finding where you saved it, whether it be in the ominous cloud or on the local computer.
Right. Yes. Okay. All right. So let me see if that's the only question. So the question is, or some more of a comment. I would think there might be a fair amount of potential liability in having members records in various meetings and posting them to YouTube. You mean in terms of classes? Because I think that actually most of our instructors and people are really happy about that, because it just gives them greater brand awareness for Jeffco BRC and who's ever teaching. And nobody else's info is really shared at that point. So it's just us and my instructor when I put them on YouTube and social media. Madison,
I was just thinking about meetings in general. I mean, before somebody posts something to YouTube or Facebook, I guess there would be perhaps a consent issue with all attendees, and the meeting organizer should be the one who's doing the posting, not individual attendees. It just seems like all the meetings that I'm attending for the most part are not classes like this. They are business meetings.
Oh, right. No, nobody's posting those that I know of anyway. There's no reason for it. I mean, the only reason we're posting our classes is just to help share the information with folks that can attend. So we have people, like I said, I had 33 people register. There's 19 people in this meeting. And so, but everybody, all 33 people will get a copy of this class so they can watch it later. So yeah, I don't know of reasons why people would really record meetings, but that is an option though. I mean, somebody could record a meeting. I recorded my last board meeting I had just because so I didn't have to take notes in that moment. So
I have attended a couple of private business Zoom meetings where it indicates at the top that somebody is recording it, and I've assumed it's for that purpose. But when the discussion turned to posting it on YouTube, I thought, oh, better be careful what we're saying here.
Right. Definitely. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So any other?
Yeah, I would definitely say it is. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say it does tell you in the top left at any point, if anyone's recording, it does say recording in the top left. So then you know if it is or not. And then there was one more question that I missed personally, but I'm going to go back to Linda asked, if you have your Zoom account with the chamber, do I need another account for personal? I tried and it said I already had an account. So no, if you're just trying to have a profile or a free one, a paid profile or a free one, you only need one login. If you have the one to tune in with your business, you would have to attach it to a different email. But I would say just go ahead and just keep it synced up and keep it under one username and login, and that should be easier for you. I will say beware that, let's say you want your professional side and your personal side to not intermix. Let's say I've changed my name to something silly in another call, or I made a virtual background of a tiger eating me, and then I tag into a professional meeting. That background is still going to be on my screen. So just make sure that if you put any settings a little bit different, then to change back and make sure But yeah, Linda, I would just go ahead and make it all one username and password. I'm assuming by chamber one you mean which one you tune into our programs with, and I would just keep it all the same if you plan on hosting your own. And then just to upgrade your own Zoom profile, you can just log in, and then your top bar, it says plans and pricing, and that's where you'll upgrade to the $15 a month plan to give us more time and more participants.
Okay.
I think those are all the questions we have. Amira, if you want to,
All right, let me
I'm
jump
going to
into
pass the
etiquette.
baton to you.
Okay, thank you so much. So the etiquette piece covers really both whether you're hosting or participating. And just remember, so when you're on Zoom, you're on camera. Absolutely. Like, we can see everything that you're doing. And I think that's probably my #1 messaging, because a couple of true stories. So when we first got into shelter in place about 2 months ago, and I got on my first few Zoom calls, I mean, you could see that people literally were just, we're so conditioned, right? We have social conditioning that when we're together in person, we have a certain demeanor, and we're more mindful of our behavior. When we're at our house, that goes away somehow. And I literally caught somebody picking their nose on Zoom. True story, right? They had no idea. So I was just, so it happens. People will, sometimes they think they've turned their camera off and they haven't. And we'll talk about that in just a second. Well, I'll just talk about it now. So just, as you know, right in the bottom lower corner, it says you have 2 options, mute and stop video. You push the stop video and there will be a line going through it. And it's not, you're still on video as long as you can see yourself. So you guys can all play with that now, right? If you don't know, just in case, right? And then when you are, so somebody had brought up the, Madison, do you want to go ahead and go into well, let me just do it. So I'm stopping my video and my headshot pops up. So that's a nice feature, and a lot of people like that. Now, I don't know if you guys can see now. It's interesting. Do you see what do you see? Can you see me? Okay, I'm back. That little camera thing, I think earlier when I was having issues seeing stuff, I think it's this computer maybe. That's the first time I've used it, because I've been at my house using mine. So just remember that you're on camera and that we can see you. So it really is even more critical in a sense than if we were in person, because everybody's watching, right? They're all watching you, where if we're in a class, we're usually all looking at the same direction. Now we're looking at each other. So this is really a critical piece here. We talked about speaker view versus presenting view. And one thing on that, if you're the presenter, like a little while ago when Madison was sharing her screen, it's pretty difficult to monitor the chat box, the chat feature with that. So keep that in mind if you're going to host a class, especially in the beginning. I know some presenters, depending on the type of laptop or computer they're on, they can't see the chat box at all. So it's always a good idea, if you're going to do that, to have maybe somebody else tag it with you and just watch it for you and chime in with those questions, because some people can see it, some people can't. You just never know, right? So just a little FYI. I always recommend that people, even as a host, I mute myself if I'm not talking, because I can't always control my background noise. And this is especially true during shelter in place. We have children at home, pets at home, spouses at home, right? You just don't know. And the other thing though is we've been on calls where somebody actually takes a call and they think we can't see them. Like, they think they're on mute, or they think they're not on video on some other platforms. Zoom is pretty easy, but there's some platforms out there that are real difficult. I was on a call the other day and somebody was literally having a conversation about she was gonna be working during this conference call that we were having, thinking that we couldn't hear her, and we could hear her. So I finally just really chimed in and I said, hey, we can hear you. Like, heads up, right? Like somebody was saying, Esther was saying earlier, what are we saying right now? Right? So just know that. That's really important to be aware of. Also, dress for success. It is so easy and we're so tempted. And I think, honestly, we've been in shelter in place now for 2 months. I think all of us have taken it down a notch or so. I know one guy that shows up for every meeting we have in a suit and tie still. He works for the city of Lakewood, and he just comes dressed to the nines all the time. But the truth is we're still professionals. We're still in business. This is still a business meeting, right? So keep that in mind. And then if you really just don't feel like getting dressed that day, turn off your video. You don't have to use it. For part of this meeting, right, I had mine turned off and I was still participating. And, engaging with you. And the other thing with that too is if you get up and leave, turn off your video before you do it, because it's rude to the presenter, but moreover, it's really distracting, right? So somebody's watching you leave and now there's a blank room, and sometimes the cat comes by, and I mean, it's just really distracting. So if you're gonna leave, if you have to go to the restroom or you wanna get water or whatever, turn the video off. Much better way to manage that. What else? Madison, do you want to go ahead and show where let's look at virtual backgrounds. Okay, so this is the first time that I have done a Zoom call at the office since we started. I've been at my house and I've set it up to where I have the Jeffco BRC logo right behind me, and that's it. That's really all you see at my house. Now you can kind of see what I have in the background, and even the angle of my camera isn't totally optimum. It would be better if it was just a little bit higher, like about right there. It'd be great. Watch the camera angle, because sometimes if I'm up here looking down, right, then you're looking at my nose. We don't want that. That's not going to be the best, especially if you're presenting, right? So ideally you want to have it at eye level, okay? And then if the background, so one of the challenges I have at my house is I have windows. In this office, we have no windows. For those of you who have been here, you know that. So I love it. I have this really nice window, but it's really bright. So it kind of illuminates my whole, profile, right? And that's not great. That's not a great thing to have, especially if I'm teaching. So I will use a virtual background, and you can find those. That's just part of any Zoom profile. It's included in the free one. And if you go back to the bottom left-hand corner, next to the video camera, there's a little upward arrow. Click that, then go into video settings. And then in there on the left-hand side, you'll see virtual background. And I know you can't see any of this. Oh, that's interesting. And it's not giving me that option. So I wonder, the computer I'm working on right now, you see, Madison's got it. So that's great. She's in space. Yeah, Madison, show us the beach one. That's one I always use at my house. The computer I'm on right now is super old, which I think might be an issue, but.
That's what I was going to say. If you do have like an older version of the app, every time I talk, I see like the earth in my teeth. I'm getting scared. I'm going to cover it my mouth. Kind of like what Esther's doing. But if you do have like an older webcam or computer, it does sometimes glitch like this, that you can still see, the things hanging on the wall, or, see the earth through my glasses and through my teeth. So you just have to be aware of that. I don't think he's on this call, Amira, but on our last Zoom 101 that we taught, we had a guy who actually did have a blank screen. It doesn't even have to be green technically, but if it is a more clean surface, if it's a clean color or, a straight up color, then it is better, and it won't show the little things. It won't be showing the earth through my teeth. So, yeah. And I think people have struggled with iPads, trying to do virtual backgrounds, and phones as well. I mean, it's hard, but you can upload your own images too. But yeah, so I was just going to say that some apps and some computers.
Oh, she got muted. Okay. All right. So that's kind of the virtual background piece. And I do know if you actually do use a green screen, it's really clean, because we had a teacher early on that did that and shared that with us, and it looked really nice. Because even when I'm at my house, I still have so much light. There's just a tiny bit of light around just like right next to my skin, but it's still better than me kind of being illuminated, right? So so just keep that in mind. So you want eye level, you want to be really mindful what's in your background, what's around. Christina said, oh, I found that it's under meeting advanced options. What is under, what was it that was under, or what was under meeting advanced options, Christine?
Sorry, I was in the chat. Under the virtual backgrounds, I see where you can toggle it on and it's on, but where do you pick the virtual backgrounds? That's what I can't.
Okay, so I don't know about the advanced features, but I just know that the little arrow right next to stop video at the bottom left-hand screen, if you choose video settings, then they should be in there. I didn't find them in mine only because this computer is really old, so it doesn't have the actual function.
Christine, you're on your phone, correct?
Yeah, but I did pull up on my computer. My thing is that I don't have a webcam. I need to get a webcam, but on my computer, I have the Zoom up on there too. I was trying to see where it is under there on the computer too. I see the option
Gotcha.
for virtual background, and I have a pretty new computer. It's 2017. I just don't know where you even pick a
Yeah,
virtual.
so when she's saying the setting, so yeah, you can either do it from what you're doing, like the in-meeting advanced options, or you can do it in the middle of a call. At any point, you could also change it in the settings that are in the Zoom call, which is like exactly where you would go to turn your video on and off. Has a little up arrow, and that's where you would choose it. But since your computer's not tuned into the call, you can't see that part. But and then on the phone, I know that I think it gives you like 2 options, and then the other ones you can upload yourself. Same with the computer virtual backgrounds. You can upload your own image to be behind you as well.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
And then if
Have
you
played
look
it.
at Tom's screen, it looks really nice. He's got the Borealis lights.
Oh, wow.
So that's really nice. And then David Head at the bottom of the screen, he's got his own a personal picture of him as a vendor with his table. So that's great. So that's the virtual background piece. Chat features. Let's talk about that for a second. So the reactions, if you go down where the chat bubble is at the bottom, to the very right, there's a reaction. So I can clap for what I just heard because I'm applauding. That was great. Like I really liked it, right? Or I can just give a thumbs up, like great point. Oh, wait. Or I can click out of it on accident. But I can do the thumbs up as well. So those are just as participants in the meeting, you're just showing, response to you either really like something or you're like, yeah, thumbs up, that was a great point, just for your presenter and just to share your enthusiasm with other folks. And David said, hold on. Right, that's what I meant, David. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. That he uploaded his own. Oh, you uploaded your picture, so that's the profile picture. So Madison, let's go into that real quick. Wait, hold on. Last thing I want to say about this is also if you're presenting, especially sometimes it's good to use headphones. Like see Madison's headphones? She's got them, right? Because that again cuts down on background noise and it just delivers a cleaner message. So let's go ahead and share if you could share your screen, please, and we'll go into, what did I just say? I forget. Yeah, she's got it. Okay. Oh, the profile picture. Yes, thank you. So you just go into the the Zoom profile and you'll see where it says profile there. And then right next to it, she's got the West Metro Chamber. So easy. You just change it. It'll have, normally it would just have your initials if you haven't added a picture. And then you can just upload your picture. And there it goes. And you crop it. Done. Super, super, super easy. So I've used my headshot. David used a picture, a photo that he had. You could use just your Madison. The West Chamber just got their logo. Any of those work, whatever your preference is. That's great. But that's a really nice feature too. And then, then when you turn off your video, it's a little bit more than just your name. So I think that might be it, other than before you start run your own Zoom meeting, I highly, highly, highly suggest you practice with your friends just to work out the bugs. And, still we've probably done, Jeff Kobe-RC has been hosting at least 2 to 4 Zoom meetings every week since the beginning of this thing. And I wasn't as familiar with Zoom prior to this because we did everything in person. But I still jump online, like Madison and I jumped online today and just sort of work through some things, check stuff out. And, so it's just good to practice, make sure everything's working well, same as you would when you're going to go do a presentation, right? You want to show up, you want to check out your PowerPoint if you have one, check out your screen save, all of that, or screen share, practice with your friends. Uploading, also, Madison, will you talk a little bit about just the practicality and convenience of uploading all of your websites or having them ready to go prior to, so you're not spending time, looking for stuff while you're on the call, and just other things about that.
For sure. And then I will address the question that Esther just sent in too, right when I'm done with this. But for sure. So like I shared the tab that I had open to show you how Zoom works. So, I have so many tabs open on my computer right now. So when you click share screen, you don't have to do it right now, but when you click share screen, you have the option of which tab I have open to be the one that I share. You do have the option to just share your entire computer screen, but let's say I have you know, my text messages pulled up or personal emails pulled up, I don't want to share that part of it. So, so I see someone sharing their screen right now, but so you just want to make sure you're sharing the right tab. What I've done is when I wanted to show you guys that Zoom profile, I pulled it as its own tab. Otherwise, you can see all the other tabs that I had open pulled up on Google Chrome. So just be aware of that. Also, when you click the share screen, there's always the option to do a whiteboard, which is a cool little feature that you can draw images, you can put text on here. There's a bunch of different things that you can do here as well. But yeah, definitely make sure you have the tabs separate and ready to go. If it is a PowerPoint that you're trying to share, make sure you have that already pulled up. And then when you click it to pull it up and then you go into presentation view, you're not just clicking through the slides, that you can see all the slides on the left-hand side, to make sure that it's already ready to go, ready to click through for your attendees to see. One other thing that I noticed with share screen, I can't show you because it's once again a Zoom thing that they don't let you show Zoom things. But when you click share screen, there's two little tabs that you can share: computer sound. You'll see this at the bottom of the window that pops up, and then optimize screen sharing for video clip. So what that means is if I want to share my screen and show you guys a YouTube video, you want to make sure you have those clicked on, or else the video might be a little warped. So make sure you do that. And then, yeah, so Esther asked, how do you raise your hand? So it's the new virtual way. I mean, I'm just laughing at how weird that sentence sounds, like if this was just like a normal thing, like, how do you raise your... So as a participant, all you have to do is move your mouse around. I believe that this is, I'll have to figure out how it is on the phone and iPad. Let me think about that. The participants, and then on your right side of your screen, if you still have chat pulled up, that'll be on the lower side or on the upper side. But you'll see at the bottom of it, there's the word invite, mute me, and raise hand. So what raise hand does is my hand is now raised as a participant, and the host sees that I'm raising my hand. So if she were to be like, hey, raise your hand if you're hungry, and then I click that, the participant will know like what's going on. That's an actual real life example too. So so that's how you would raise your hand. Paula just did the clapping. That also works too. And then so I will say though,
where's the raised hand again?
Participants. So instead of the chat bubble that you have to pull up, it's the one that says participants.
And just an FYI, if you're the host, you don't see this feature. Like I don't have that feature of raising.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to raise your hand. Yeah. But you will be able to see it when other people raise their hand. But I will say though, if you ever do have a setting that you are raising your hand, to make sure that you click lower hand as well, or else your hand stays raised until you click lower hand. I think that's it. Oh, here we go. Can you share a live spreadsheet and work on it while sharing? So this is actually something that I just did. When I shared that Google Chrome Zoom profile tab for you guys, I actually had my script pulled up on top of it. You guys couldn't see my Microsoft document pulled up because I was only sharing that Google Chrome. So you can share a live spreadsheet and keep working on it, but they will see what you're typing while you're typing it. So I don't know if that's an issue for you, but what you can do is you can always have layers on top of what you're doing. It pauses the shared screen, aka all you're going to see is the website. I'll just kind of do it again real quick. So I'm going to share. I have Google Chrome pulled up, and you might see my mouse move down. I'm going to go ahead and open this. You don't see that I have my Microsoft document pulled up right now, and I'm typing away. I typed the word typing away. And then all I have to do is click back, and then you'll see my mouse moving again. It's that simple. You can also annotate on your screen. I love these good smiley faces. Clear it, clear all drawings. You can do so many different things when you share your screen. So let's see. Another tip from other Zoom. People turn off their video, the speaker has more internet power. I like that. That's good to know.
Interesting.
I think it does have something to do with just Zoom bandwidth. I mean, I'm sure they're just getting overloaded with how many calls that they're having per day, per minute. So that makes sense. I didn't know that. Thank you, Cheryl. Linda said, I learned that if you hold the space bar down, you can unmute for a short time. I don't
Really?
know what that means.
Let's try it.
Let me try it. Can you hear me?
You do go on mute.
That was fun. See,
Yeah,
we're learning new things every day. Thank you, Linda. I'm gonna use that actually a lot, because I always, like Amira was saying, you always kind of want to be on mute while other people are talking and presenting. And if at any point I just want to say a few words instead of having to go click to the bottom left, click unmute, talk, mute. I like that, Linda. You just changed my life forever. Thank you.
Great. That's great. Okay. Do we have other questions? And you guys, at this point, we could stop using the chat feature, I think, right, Madison? Because we're just winding down here. So we can go ahead and stop. Just if you guys have questions, just go ahead and unmute yourself and chime in. And if there are none, then Madison and I are going to do program updates.
Oops, I sent to Tom a message privately on accident in chat. I meant to say I have to log out, and I just wanted to thank you both for everything, though. This has been super, super helpful. And I'm glad it's recorded, though, in case I want to go back and look through stuff again. So thank you both very much. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, I'll convert it, and then I'll send it in an email to everybody that registered today, and then share it obviously with Madison, and then we'll be put it on Facebook too. So if you guys then want to share it out, feel free.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and well, Madison, I'll let you go. Well, let me go. I'm going to go, and then we have another class. So we love partnering with our chamber partners, and we are doing another partnership tomorrow morning, and we actually have our guest speaker on right now. His name is John. And so John, I'm going to turn it over to you. Will you just share with us about what we're going to, it's called COVID-19 Business Continuity Success Seminar, and it's hosted by John, and he's got a fascinating story, but just give us a little, 30,000 foot view of what we're going to learn tomorrow, if you would.
Sure, you caught me doing homework, right? So I'm doing my homework because it's the first time, and it's a great opportunity to come and work with Jeffco BRC and the West Chamber. So I just wanted to make sure I had the feel, which, by the way, fantastic job on the seminar. I really liked it. And tomorrow, what we're going to dive into is how do we position ourselves in the uncertainty we're in? And there's a lot of uncertainty in our businesses. And are there steps that we can do tangibly that will put us into a better position? Now, where some of that experience comes from that I'm going to share is in 2008, I actually had a business that was a $30 million enterprise and had 125 employees. And as everybody knows, we went down, we experienced a great recession. Well, we went to 6 employees. And there was a lot of duress that we're going to experience as business owners in this uncertainty time. And there's tools and things that we're going to just show and start to go, here's some tools that can help you navigate and be in a stronger position within not only your business, but positioning for thriving instead of just being in uncertainty.
That's great. Thank you so much. So that is tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. You can register on our website. And I'll just include a registration link for everything I'm going to talk about in the email. And then every Monday morning, we do COVID-19, all things funding from 10 to 11. So we partner with the Colorado Enterprise Fund on that. And it's essentially just a Q&A. Jason with the Colorado Enterprise Fund gives us an update of what's changed during the week, because it changes. It changes quickly. There's changes every week. They add things, they take things out. Funds run out, new funds are available. So we kind of give you an update there, and then just open Q&A about what you guys are needing. And we'll probably, I was just chatting with him and then our business advisor, Lou Reverso. We're going to continue that on Monday mornings through June, but it's going to shift a little bit because I think it'll be still related to COVID, but it might be more about marketing or how to reach your target audience, or how are you going to position yourself to do business moving forward, because the world has changed. Right? So we need to think a little differently about that. And I know we're going to hear some great tips on that from John tomorrow as well. So we have that going every Monday. And then Tuesday the 19th, we have Grow Your Business with Email and Social Media Marketing. And then Monday, June 1st, we're doing Bookkeeping 101. So I'm going to leave it at that, but you can look at all of our programming, and we're still, our goals will still be to do mostly things on Zoom, because even though we've moved into safer at home, I don't think that people are necessarily ready to come back out and get together. And one of the benefits, or an opportunity, I guess, that I'll say that I've realized through COVID-19 and moving everything online, our attendance has really doubled, literally, if not more in some cases. And I think we're seeing a lot more business owners from other areas in Jeffco, which is very cool. So I think that's just due to people are not having to come to Golden. So it's great. So we're going to definitely utilize Zoom more moving forward and just have different offerings. And so with that, oh, we're also still doing business advising, and that's also on Zoom. So you can connect with Lou. It's, you know, free. You've already paid for it. These are your taxpayer dollars, and you just give me a call, and you'll get the email. I'll actually put our contact info in the chat feature, but yeah, super easy. And she's available on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Madison.
Yeah, so like Amir said, a lot of things have turned virtual. Just to highlight a few things coming up, we have virtual Wind Down Wednesday coming up on Wednesday, May 20th from 5 to 6. This is sponsored by Bonefish Grill in Denver West. So it's a pretty simple thing. You pay the registration fee, you go do curbside pickup at the Bonefish Grill near the Colorado Mills Mall, and you choose your bottle of wine, and you get a selection between 8 different bottles of wine and an order of Bang Bang Shrimp. You go home, you have a Zoom link, and you can tune in, and everyone's going to be socializing and networking in the best way we know how right now. So that's the 20th from 5 to 6. Tuesday, May 26th, we have Women in Business coming up. This is open to men as well, from 8 to about 9 a.m. And it has a guest speaker named Megan Conter, and her topic is It Takes a Village. It's building effective power partnerships to increase revenue, satisfaction, and morale in any business. She's great, super looking forward to that. And anything and all things are all on our website, all virtual programming that we have coming up. So be sure to check out our calendar for anything else going on. And not a program, but if you are a West Metro Chamber member, we do now have a safe and open pledge. So once you take the pledge, you get put onto our website so we can promote you in the way that you are a business that's practicing safety measures with our safer at home measures in place. So make sure you fill out that pledge as well, and you can get social media highlights and whatnot. And if you're not a member, we are still open to promoting any of your events that you have coming up, because I mean, right now is a time to learn, and so use this time. And I think Amira, my favorite thing that you've said is it might not be a time, what is it, like you're working in your business, but it's a great time to work on your business. And I just love that so much. So be sure to be checking out her educational workshops and whatnot going on, and sharing with your followers on any social media network. I think right now is the best time to grow your social media presence and your website presence as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Okay, so with that, one last chance for any questions, comments. Okay, well, have a fabulous evening, and I hope to see you online tomorrow. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye, guys. Thank you.